Looking back at our preliminary task, what do you feel you learned in the progression from it to your full product? Well, looking back at my preliminary task, I felt that I made a considerable amount of progression that helped me towards my final product. This included how little I originally knew about planning the task, and we merely only started with making a few lists of shots, and in that included everything that was to happen in one scene, and it would sometimes include what titles were to appear in the scene also. It didn't mention anything about timing, what characters were in the scene, what obviously like more diverse shots were being used. It was merely just the basic. To help plan, we also wrote a script, and in that nope. This helped us to know what to say and when to say it. However, for the preliminary task, this was not taking into account what we had, which we only had 2 hours to film and edit the product, whereas with our actual one, we've used so much time and so much time to edit. And then because of the length of the product, it caused us not to think in much detail of it at all. So we literally had in them 2 hours, we had to edit and film it. So we weren't able to think about everything completely. So that was the main reason why it wasn't as good as our actual product. And then we had time to edit the tasks, although this wasn't to be amazing due to the lack of time. However, we still managed to involve certain shots that we believed were suitable for the task and the subjects we had done. The shots that we included in our preliminary task filming was a close-up, a mid-shot, tracking shot and over the shoulder, and these are the most common shots that we thought we knew how to do, we understood, and were easy to do for us, and obviously were easy for an audience to spot because obviously they are the most common ones. However, for our final product, we expanded on all of our background work in depth. We went from having merely a list of shots to a full-blown storyboard. The benefit of doing this was that it was an extra information was needed to be added. It could be. We completed on post-it notes on sugar paper, so this allowed us to add or remove things as much as we wished. We thought more in depth about the characters, what they would say, exactly when they'd say it, what they'd be wearing, how they'd be standing or sitting, and all the proper timings that people would need to think about, how long they're staying in that position, where in the frame they're standing or sitting, or if they've got to look at the camera or not look at the camera. So it gave us such a better idea just using storyboard with post-it notes just to give us in such detail what had to be done. The arrangements could be more thought out and seemed to plan out a lot more successful than we had done in our preliminary task, and obviously it was mainly because of our time. We also grew our variety of shots used throughout the final product to our preliminary. This involved us using more diverse shots throughout, and this included expanding a normal tracking shot, which is normally just where the subject stands still and then the camera tracks either on dolly wheels or on a stand or whatever it might be. However, we didn't want to just do that. We had one of them tracking shots, but we wanted to expand it out a bit more, make it seem a bit more. I can't think of the word, but better than just a normal tracking shot. So we decided to do a 360. We used someone's car, and we had the camera. Obviously, we tried to hold it as still as we could. And then we had someone in the middle, and we just tracked round 360. That we thought caused a better effect because obviously, a normal tracking shot, you're just watching it from one side to the other. Whereas if you're doing a 360 tracking shot, you've either got things in the way, so it makes it seem a bit more real. And we thought, because where she's so confused in the situation, we thought a 360 tracking shot was better for that situation than just a normal tracking shot, because a tracking shot by itself isn't interesting enough as it could be. So that's why we thought a 360 was more interesting. We also included an over-the-shoulder shot that wasn't a normal one. So it didn't merely just show just the shoulder. It showed half of the, pretty much whole of the character. But obviously it was still over the shoulder because you can't see the other character. But then the one in the distance, we could see as much as we could if it was just a normal over the shoulder. But we thought getting a bit of her in it and then seeing the other character in the back. We thought that was better. So we did that because obviously it kind of shows her in more of a mysterious way, so we just kept it like that. Obviously, you know, that also made her feel like she was more alive, because like over the shoulder, it's so hard to explain, but in normal horror stories, especially supernatural ones, if you have an over shoulder from the ghost or from whatever it is looking onto the main character, you always think just that little bit on the side of the screen just isn't normal, it's not real. Whereas in ours, we zoomed it out a bit more, so it made it feel like she was actually alive. Obviously, we know she's not alive. But then obviously the main character, you know, although she sees her and she can hear her, she can feel her, she's not real. So we just thought that it was like a really contradictive way to how normal spirits and ghosts are normally. Comparing this to our preliminary task, we expanded our ideas more and not to be afraid of trying something new, like so for instance the 360 tracking shot. But we wanted to achieve, like, to show how we expanded on our knowledge. We also wanted to achieve the fact that we weren't afraid to try something new, which we clearly stated that by the 360 tracking shot, which we thought was our best one. And then also of the more shots we use and the sound effects that we also use as well. We used certain ones that we filmed ourselves, or we used ones that we got off the internet, but they were uncopyrighted, so we were allowed to use them. But whereas for our preliminary task, we didn't do anything like that. We had 2 hours to film it, edit it, and it was bing, bang, bosh. It was there, done. You had to finish it. Whereas we've had so much time to prepare for this one, and we can add in transitions, we've added sound effects in, we can change the timing of the video, we can add voiceovers and dialogue, you can just do so much with it. You can then obviously add in your titles, you can add in everything you want, and it's just so much better.